coming to you from the University of Minnesota, Rochester, our town.
Today we're catching up with Dr. Jeffery Boyd, President of Rochester Community and Technical College. Welcome to our town.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
So first things first, how's the construction going?
Oh, the construction is going well. Like any construction project, you're always, nervous down to the last minute, but everything that I'm told is on schedule, so I think we're doing really well.
So tell us a little bit about that. It's a $26 million project, and word on the street is that it's actually maximizing the space and not necessarily expanding it.
Yeah, so especially an institution that was built in the 1960s, so you have a lot of space, classrooms that maybe fit 12 students, 14 students, and now we try to maximize it with 30 students. So now we're building a more active learning space, so it's just better utilizing the space to get more of a modern active learning type environment. So you're just, again, taking down stuff you don't need that no one used and now putting everybody in places that will be used.
Fantastic. So you're a year into your tenure as president, a full year. What has been one of the key lessons that you've sort of taken away from this past year?
Key lessons, well, probably that you can never over communicate and that everyone always wants information, so the more you can communicate through blogs or just meeting people on the street, so to say, is just very important because people want to be informed. So I think if anything, always communicate because people always want to know what's going on.
And RCTC, it's a community college. Has had such a history in this community. What do you see as the role that it currently plays and will continue to play in the workforce development as the city grows?
Yeah, well, as a community college, I think it has to really look at what the workforce needs. So I think we have to be more responsive, always ready to hear what the workforce needs, and then prepare students with credentials, certificates, workplace certificates that will help them be ready to supply the jobs as the baby boomers are retiring. So there's jobs out there. We just want to make sure that our students are prepared to give the employers what they need.
Are there certain sectors that you're hearing more about in terms of that need for
well, always healthcare. I mean,
Sure.
in a city where Mayo is, there's always going to be healthcare, but there's manufacturing. I mean, there's always customer service, management type positions, and IT is also one of the positions that are local. Again, IBM not as much with employees, but there's technology in every field now. So very important to have that as a part of your educational experience.
And the college is, I know you've added some new programs and courses to respond to that need as well.
Aviation. So I know that's a new program we're really excited about this fall. Again, a need of the community that the pilots are retiring also. So we're excited to be able to launch this fall an aviation program.
So what does a typical RCT student look like? Is there a typical RCTC student?
Boy, typical. Well, I think about 66% of our students are 24 and under. And so then you go above that, we have quite a few more adult students in the workforce. So about, again, traditional age, about 60% are female, and then the rest are male. So obviously I think a typical student is, again, probably going to be female, probably going to be under 24, but then we do see about 40-some% that are above 24. So some adults are still taking classes and advancing their careers.
Fantastic. So it's definitely a little more intergenerational than we might expect.
Yes.
And I know that you have a pretty diverse student body. So what do you think the community can learn from RCTC about retaining that diverse talent and addressing some of those disparities in education that we know about?
Yeah, well, disparities in education are huge. Of course, we want to try to close the achievement gap the best we can, and we know that, again, we have about 66% of our students are students, non-students of color. So most of our, again, we have about a 24% breakdown as far as in African American students, and then Asian about I think about 4%, Latinos about 6%. So we have a pretty good diverse body. What the community can learn is that I think the demographics are changing nationwide, and that we just need to treat everybody kind of the same and learn to. People have differences, whether it's English as a second language. I think we just need to be responsive. And again, they're part of our community, so to make them feel welcome and embrace the cultures and differences, and not only, again, whether that's gender or any other difference, we just want to make sure we're being responsive and helping people be successful, because if they're successful, then Rochester's successful. I'm sure the college has resources to support the students that are coming from all these different backgrounds. Absolutely, we do. We work closely with the Diversity Council in town, so we try to make sure, again, and working, again, mental health is a big thing too. We don't think about that as being diversity, but we know students have mental health needs, so we're trying to meet those needs also.
Fantastic. You know, community colleges have often been sort of on the front lines of providing education to diverse and broad groups of people within the community. I'm also thinking a lot about online education and how that's sort of changing the conversation about access to education. How do you feel about online education, and do you feel any competition with that? Does RCTC use online methods or will be in the future?
Yeah, so we are, again, moving towards about 24%, I think, of our classes are online now. I think 24 or 31%, I can't get the numbers straight. But yeah, obviously that is a competition. We don't want to fall behind. A lot of you see commercials on TV or heard on the radio and get your degree 1 year online. And so we're being responsive to that to be more, again, 21st century technology type of online. It can be synchronous. You can be at home and still work with a teacher or an instructor that's live. So I think we definitely want to be responsive to that.
So some of those hybrid models.
Yeah, and hybrid, we have hybrids, about 14% of our instruction is also in hybrid. So yeah, very much trying to move towards that, but we're doing a pretty good job, but we don't want the competition to beat us, obviously.
Certainly. So as we're wrapping up here, this is a pretty big question, but what is your hope and your vision for RCTC, 25 years from now? 25
years from now, hopefully I'll be retired by then, but besides that, obviously we want to still be the premier educational institution in the community that will be the first choice. Again, I know there's many other great educational institutions around, but that RCTC would be the first choice for families and students.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, President Boyd.
My pleasure.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations.
Clements Chevrolet proudly partners with award-winning KSMQ Public Television. Clements Chevrolet in Rochester. Clements' clear value promise is to make buying a car fast, fair, and simple. The Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
And the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
Be sure to stick around. We've got more great stories coming up next. We are zipping around town on the new Lime scooters with Danielle Teal, and we're going to be talking about the stigma of addiction in the local Muslim community. But first, we look into the evocative landscapes and anatomy artist's work of Bria Gilchrist in this week's Art Culture segment.
I've just always liked the aspect and the process of creating. It kind of is a way to remove myself from day-to-day life. It's being able to create my own visual perspective, whether it's a landscape or an object or now this more in-depth anatomy. It just kind of lets myself remove away, and I always enjoyed it because I was able to make something look similar to what I saw in real life and just kind of challenging myself there. I'm Brea Gilchrist and I'm an artist. I just really clearly enjoy anatomy. When I was at the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, where I went to get my degree, and we got to a certain level in my courses that you were taking live model classes, and that you were just sketching, going back with charcoal, and getting the body and the form down, and kind of just wanted to literally learn more. I initially started with architecture and landscape, and so I kind of liked the blueprint aspect of those compositions, and then it got more honed in on the human body composition and blueprint. And so I literally delved deeper and took an anatomy course at that university. And I just loved it. I like how it's applicable to everyone. I want to make it visual to any viewer that you are looking at something that's a human structure. Whether it's a different perspective of that structure or if it's enveloped in a landscape that I also bring into the composition, I just want someone to be able to recognize, like, hey, there's a rib cage there, or oh, there's a human heart. Sometimes I just do them plain as you can see them, like even in an anatomy book. But even when I do those renderings of those subjects, whether it's like a human heart, I want it to make it more exciting than just looking it up in like a instructional manual or what you would normally see when you're studying anatomy. I want to make it more approachable, not people that usually when you're looking at anatomy, it's whether in a hospital setting or it's when you're studying for a hospital setting potentially. With technology advancing, we're able to see more clear-cut perspectives of multiple layers of the human anatomy. So I use those a lot for my own reference imagery when I'm working on a piece. And just even over the last 4 years being outside of school, you get these new updated perspectives from hospitals diving deeper into the human body, and it just kind of sparks another canvas, another painting. So until that really dies out, I don't see myself steering too far away from the human body and creating a different perspective for viewers to see. I just really enjoy, not only for myself, the structures that when you break down the human body, how really beautifully pleasing, like aesthetically pleasing they can be, and I kind of want the rest of the viewers that come across my artwork to have a similar perspective. I think a lot of people, when they see human anatomy, they see a skull, they see anything, they view it to be grotesque. And I don't want that to be the view, because I think the human body, whether you strip it down to a certain layer or not, it should be beautiful no matter who you are, whatever like religion, culture, gender, anything like that. It's just applicable to everyone, and that needs to be shared and shown.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/OurTown.
So many paths, so many ways unknown. This ain't no time for asking questions. Buckle up, 'cause we got everywhere to go. Buckle up, 'cause we got everywhere to go.
I hope you've been enjoying the signature Down by the Riverside concert series put on by Rochester's music department at Mayo Park this summer. But did you know that this department has also been making music all over Rochester's neighborhoods? There are 2 events left in the Forward Neighborhood Park concert series. Ward 3 at Lincolnshire Park features Conla on Wednesday, August 21st, and Ward 1 at Withers Sports Complex features Joyanne Parker. Concerts begin at 5 p.m., but be sure to come early for family fun with the mobile recreation trailer at 3 p.m. More information at rochestermn.gov. And Oppa! It's time once again for the original Greek Fest, a Rochester favorite, celebrating Greek culture since 1963 with authentic food, live music, dancing, and family fun. Enjoy gyros, souvlaki, Greek pastries, spirits, and more August 23rd through the 25th. Admission and parking are free, and you can find out all the details at GreekFestRochester.com. And tie-dyeing always seems to be making a comeback with one generation or another. You can try your hand at this groovy art form at People's Food Co-op on Saturday, August 24th. Using natural dyes made from vegetables, fruits, and flowers, you'll embellish a flour sack towel for your creation, or you can bring your own white clothing from home. They'll have dyes ready for the project that day and provide the recipes for you to try at home. Meet in the parking lot, weather permitting. More information at pfc.coop. Gamers, start your controllers. The Machine Shed is hosting a back-to-school bash video game tournament on Friday, August 30th from 5 to 9 p.m. Local food trucks will be lined up to provide sustenance for this intense competition. Awesome prizes and entertainment will also be provided. Find out more on their Facebook page. And heads up for head counts. The U.S. Census Bureau is set to begin the 2020 census, and Canvas workers may be in your neighborhood in the coming weeks. Each census employee will have an official identification card, so if you have any questions or concerns about individuals in your neighborhood, you can contact the Rochester Police Department non-emergency number at 507-328-6800. And a couple of weeks ago, Lime scooters hit the streets of Rochester. Let's find out how Danielle Teal's first ride turned out in this week's Walkabout segment.
This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Walkabout. I'm here with Jamie Wilson. She's a project manager with the city. She's got the scoop on the Lime scooters. So, what are the goals with these Lime scooters?
Our big goal right now is to find out what we can learn about how people use them, where they use them, and extrapolate some information on why they're using them.
What is your role? What are you doing right now?
So right now we're doing safety training for it's First Ride Academy, essentially. So what it is it's like walking you through your first experience riding a Lime scooter, getting you comfortable with it so that way when you see them around your city, you know what to do and that it's not something that you're afraid of or you're not used to. So you're going to open your app and then it's going to pop up with the box there and you would scan the scooter there and you're going to see the miles per hour, the battery life. You're going to be wearing a helmet, of course.
Now I noticed the mayor did this on heels. Anybody can, footwear doesn't matter?
No, so this is your brake and this is your gas.
Okay.
It doesn't accelerate off zero, so you do have to kick off to about 4 to 5 miles per hour. That way, then the accelerator will engage.
I'm actually terrified. 4 to 5 miles per hour, that's fast.
4 to 5?
Oh, okay. All right, we're turning and we're turning. Oh, this is terrifying. Did I just take out cars and people? I think I did.
No, you're fine. No cars or people. So yeah, not 25, 4 to 5 miles per hour.
I need to come down from that. The mayor did it, no problem.
I did it. You can do it.
Have you done it before?
I've been on one.
Okay. Woo! Oh, you do get used to it. Uh-oh. Oh, okay.
It's going out of this.
Okay, we're gonna turn around. I went out of the boundaries. If I can do it, you can do it. This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Walkabout. Woo, that was a lot of fun. I'm gonna go around again.
Stigma, addiction, mental health. These are growing concerns in communities across America, and it certainly hits close to home here in Rochester. Today, the co-creators of the Crossroads program, Regina Mustafa and Nasra Jimale, join us to talk about confronting the stigma of addiction and mental health within the city's local Muslim community. Welcome to our town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, as I stated, there's stigma and a lot of issues around mental health and addiction across our communities. Why is there a particular stigma in the Muslim community around addiction?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head with that question. It is across all communities. It's not necessarily unique to the Muslim community. I think what makes it more complex within the Muslim community is there is such a varying backgrounds of what a Muslim is, what a Muslim looks like. And each population, each community brings their own cultural stigmas, misconceptions, misunderstandings to the issue of mental health. And that coupled with religious beliefs, feeling like there's a low level of faith, so you don't have enough faith if you have mental health issues because everything is the will of God, and if you just leave it to God or pray it away, it'll go away. And so that just, I think, heightens the stigma within the Muslim community.
Right. So the Muslims we're not supposed to drink alcohol. So if somebody, but yet many of us do. So how do you come out and say, you know, I have a problem, I have an addiction, but you know, not come across as I'm not being a good Muslim. You know.
So it's the intersection, it's everyday problems and then the intersection of really navigating your faith life while doing that.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about that Crossroads program and the intervention that you're seeking to make with that?
So Crossroads is really, and we're partnering with the Rochester Public Library for the program, it's really about creating a safe space where people, members of the Muslim community, other marginalized groups, and really it's open to anyone who can come. It's a relaxed atmosphere. You don't need to register. You can come and learn about addiction and mental health, hear presentations, and also take part in a group discussion which acts as a support group, an action group, and it's also optional. It's really caters, the whole program caters to everybody's comfort level. If you just want to come and learn something about addiction, you can just stay for that and leave. And you can also just observe the group discussion. You don't have to partake in it if you're not comfortable. But it's really about connecting people in the community to the services that we do have in Rochester.
It's just one way for us to tackle the stigma within the Muslim community regarding mental health and substance abuse issues, with a little bit of education and an opportunity to discuss what people have learned within that segment or have questions. We invite experts within the community. We try to partner with mental health agencies that are already in existence. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel per se. It's more so collaborating with agencies that are in existence and then bringing the people that are impacted by mental health and substance abuse issues and trying to provide education, but also opportunities for getting engaged and feeling a little bit more empowered to say, this is how I would like help with this issue within my community. This is how it looks like in my community. This is how it's impacting me uniquely.
Yeah, so there are so many different resources out there already in the community. So instead of reinventing the wheel, it certainly makes sense to do that connection work. I'm always thinking about the AA groups that often predominantly meet in churches.
Right.
And I think the question would then, I guess, be, well, what are Muslim faith institutions doing? But I'm also really interested, and perhaps you can answer that question around what can the existing organizations be doing to make sure that they're open and welcoming to people that are navigating this through a faith perspective.
Right. Like you said, like groups like AA, they do tend to have a Christian-based, like a Christian foundation to a lot of their programming. So we do have a lot of resources in town, but what we find is a lot of them lack a lot of cultural competency that can really cater to the ones who are most in need of these services. So that's what we really hope to provide, is that link. Unfortunately, our mosques, our Islamic centers don't exactly do enough to really address this problem within the Muslim community. And we also hope that, it's 2 Muslim women running this program. We hope that sends a message to the community that you are comfortable. It's comfortable. You are comfortable to come forward and share your experiences. And also, eventually, we would love to share our work and our program and connect it to local mosques and Islamic centers so they can use it.
I think that speaks more to just how deeply rooted the stigma within the Muslim community is. There really isn't a Muslim person or a Muslim-owned agency that is attempting to confront the stigma or address the issues that are happening, and they are happening within the community. More often than not, people are having conversations within their own families, but there really isn't a conversation outside of that if it's happening at all.
And do you have a sense of maybe the numbers, whether it's local or statewide, of how many Muslim people are experiencing addiction or mental health issues in Minnesota?
That's an issue that we were running into preparing for each presentation that we've done, and we've only done 2 so far. There really aren't numbers. There really isn't data that supports the numbers, or it's not really quantifiable at this point. I think because people aren't seeking help, because people aren't talking about it on a public platform, they're
not reporting.
They're not reporting it, so there really isn't the data out there.
And you talked a little bit about the diversity just within the Muslim community. You've got diversity in nationality, of immigration status, of age, gender, all these different dynamics, even ways in which you're practicing the Muslim faith. So are you finding, as you're doing the work in the community, that the message is resonating with youth more so than older generations, or with some sectors of the population versus others?
I think acculturation definitely is one of the factors on how receptive people are to services and what type of services they are willing to accept or engage with. Age certainly, I think, is a factor. More willing to talk about what's happening. And
so far our 2 programs have been pretty well attended by members of our youth community from all different backgrounds. The Olmsted County Youth Commission, they have been attending the services, and we did speak at the last group discussion about how do we extend this information to the parents, to the older generation. So that's a challenge.
Or the school districts. I think that's where a lot of the youth that have attended our events are saying that they want to see more of this in the school system.
So you do have an upcoming event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, our 3rd session is going to be on Thursday, August 29th at the Rochester Public Library Auditorium, and we have Yusuf Shafi. He is a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, and he's also the CEO of Alliance Wellness Center in Bloomington. So there seems to be a lot more members of the Muslim community who are doing a lot of this work up in the cities, not so much here in Rochester. So through Nasra, we were able to connect with him, and we're thrilled that he'll be able to come down and share with us some of, as being a member of the Somali Muslim community, he can share with us maybe some of the struggles, the roadblocks that he encountered, creating the conversation and creating his own counseling business for this. So
And I'll say a little bit more about Alliance Wellness Center. It is an inpatient, outpatient chemical dependence treatment center, and I think it'll be helpful. He's also having somebody who completed the program and graduated come and speak to his experience and what it looks like for a person that practices the Islamic faith.
Well, thank you both for joining us, and we look forward to learning more and hearing more from you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us today. I hope you get a chance to take a ride on those Lime scooters before the pilot's over later this fall. And down the Riverside concerts this year, I hope you've been enjoying them, and I can't believe that summer is almost over. But be sure to head down to Mayo Park for the Revolution, Prince's former band. We close out with their song, Raspberry Beret. From the University of Minnesota Rochester, we'll see you next week on Our Town, the show about Rochester.
Make you mine.
Our Town is produced by KSMQ Public Television, nonprofit, non-commercial. Please help pay for this programming by making a personal contribution at ksmq.org. Thank you.
You can access more information about KSMQ on Facebook and at ksmq.org.